Alright, so here's our final video lesson for the week. This is chapter 8-3. Tomorrow you're going to come in and do some more 8-3 practice, because 8-3 is a pretty big section, so you're going to need some extra practice to really get this section. So I hope your quiz went well. That was just a quick 10-point quiz. Just turned into the 5th slot. I'll grade those when I get back. And that was just kind of see, are you tracking through 8-1 and 8-3? A lot of new information, so I'm just trying to make sure that you guys are on track and accountable for the work that we've been doing this week. Okay, so 8-3. We are going to graph quadratic functions, and we're going to use what we did in 8-1 and 8-2. So we're going to be finding the axis of symmetry and finding the vertex. Now here, there's some lines here, and they want us to remember the definition. So we have our definition, our standard form, and identify the purpose of A, B, X, and Y. Now the best way to do that is actually to go through a problem and to figure out the places where we're using A, X, B, or A, B, X, and Y, and then go back through and fill these in. So let's go ahead and start on our first example, and as we identify and use A, B, X, and Y, then we'll go back up and specify those places where they're being used. So step 1 is in order to graph this to graph this quadratic function, we're going to have to follow these steps. So there's 6 steps here. And the first thing we want to do is find the axis of symmetry. Where is the line of symmetry that this parabola is centering around? So in order to do that, remember we have our formula, x equals negative b over 2a. You should know that very well by now. You used it a lot in your homework last night. So negative b over 2a. So we first need to identify what is our a and what is our b. So my a here is 1 and my b is negative 4. All right, then we're going to plug these into this formula. Well, we're using A and B, so let's go back up to the top and specify that A helps us find the axis of symmetry. So we're using A to find the axis of symmetry. We're also using B, so B helps find axis of symmetry as well. Okay, so let's go back down here. So we have x equals, so negative b. My b is negative 4, so I'm going to need to say negative 4 all over 2a, and a is 1. So negative 4 is positive 4 over 2 times 1 is 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So my axis of symmetry here is 2. So I'm going to go down to my graph, and at positive 2 on my x-axis, I'm going to create this vertical dotted line, and that's where my parabola is going to center around. So whatever I do on one side of this axis of symmetry, I can mirror it over onto the other side. Okay, so step 2. We did step 1. Step 2, find the vertex. Now remember, to find the vertex, we want to use this x coordinate of 2, plug it back into our equation, solve for y, so we can have this ordered pair that is our vertex. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 2 for x. We have y equals, so up here, x is equal to 2. So x is our axis of symmetry and helps us find the vertex. So x is our axis of symmetry and helps us find the vertex. We have y equals, and I'm going to plug in 2 squared minus 4 times 2 minus 5. So y equals 2 times 2 is 4, minus 4 times 2 is 8, minus 5. So we have y equals 4 minus 8 is negative 4, minus 5, add the opposite there, and we get y equals negative 9. So our vertex here is our x is 2, and our y is negative 9. So I'm going to go down to my graph, and I'm going to plot my vertex. So 2, negative 9. So I'm going to go over 2 and down 9. Alright, so there's our vertex. And I can see here that A is 1, so that means it's going to be opening upward, so I can kind of visualize a rough sketch of what this parabola is going to be looking like. Okay, so step 3, y used to find vertex. Alright, so then find the y-intercept. Ooh. The y-intercept, well, what does that mean? The y-intercept is where x is 0. So we're intercepting the y-axis where x equals 0. So when x equals 0, the y-intercept will happen. So let's go ahead and plug in 0 for x, and we're going to find our y-intercept. All right, so we have y equals 0 squared minus 4 times 0 minus 5. Now really we didn't even need to go through all of that. This c right here is actually our y-intercept. And notice that c is negative 5. So c, if you want to make yourself a little mental note here, or actual written note, c is our y-intercept. All right, but I'm just kind of proving that to you. So here we get y equals 0 minus 5, so we end up with y equals negative 5. So where x is 0, y is negative 5. So on my y-axis, I'm going to plot a point at negative 5, and that's my y-intercept. Okay, so I'm starting to see more of this parabola coming to be. So step 4 is find 2 more points on the same side of the axis of symmetry as the point containing the y-intercept. So this side right here, so here's our axis of symmetry, it's splitting it down the middle. This side here, the left side, is where I want to find 2 more points that exist. Well, I can plug anything in for x, and I'm going to come up with some ordered pair. So let's go ahead and plug in some other numbers for x and get some more points. So I'm going to put 0.1 here. 0.1, I'm going to come up with another point. Now it says here, since the axis of symmetry is 2, choose x values less than 2. So I'm going to find points that exist on this left side here. So numbers that are less than 2. Let's go ahead and try 1. Well, let's not try 1. Let's go a little bit further. Let's try negative 2. Okay, so negative 2, because that'll give me more of a variety on my graph. So x equals negative 2, so I'm going to plug that in for x. So I have y equals, now it's negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 minus 5. So negative 2 squared, negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. So I'm going to say 4 plus 8 minus 5. 4 plus 8 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. So when x is negative 2, y is 7. So we just found another point. So negative 2, positive 7. So notice that point gave me a point way up here in the second quadrant. That helps me give some more variety. All right, so now let's pick something in between where x is 0 and x is negative 2. Let's choose negative 1. That's going to give me a point within here. So my second point, I'm going to choose negative 1. So y equals negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 minus 5. So negative 1 squared, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. So 1 plus 4 minus 5. So y equals 1 plus 4 is 5, minus 5 is 0. All right, so I actually found one of the zeros of my function because y is 0 where x is negative 1. So I found something on my x-axis. So we can go to negative 1, 0. And be careful there because they go by 2's. Okay, so there's negative 1, 0. So I've done step 4. Step 5 says to graph. Well, we've already graphed those points. I like to graph them as I go, so I'm not going back through all this busy work and trying to figure out where my points are. I like to graph them as I go. Now, step 6 says to reflect the points across the axis of symmetry. This is the coolest part about a parabola. You only have to find half of your parabola. If it's symmetrical, we can just reflect those points across our axis of symmetry to find the other half of our parabola. So I'm going to look at this point here. Look at your axis of symmetry. This point is 2 to the left of my axis of symmetry. So to reflect it, I'm going to start at my axis of symmetry and go 2 points to the right, staying at my same x value. So now that's 4, negative 5. Okay, this point here. This point is 1, 2, 3 to the left of my axis of symmetry. Start at your axis of symmetry, go 3 to the right. So that point is 5, 0. All right, now this last point up here, start at your axis of symmetry. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 points away from the axis of symmetry. So I'm going to go 4 points to the right. Plot that point there. Sorry, I know my hand's in the way, you can't see. And there's my parabola. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect these lines. giving it that curve. Remember, don't make it a straight V, you want it more of a U, so give it that nice curve to it. All right, and so you've just graphed your first quadratic function. There's a lot to it, okay? So each of these problems takes a little bit of time. So you only have 3 problems on the back, but look at all the work that we did for each problem. So follow these 6 steps. Make sure you stay organized, okay? Numbering my 2 numbers there, my y-intercept, I've got my axis of symmetry, my vertex. Try and stay organized with these problems, okay? Tomorrow, all you're going to do is practice more 8-3. Remember, your Bigfoot problem is due Monday, next Monday. And so try and get these 3 problems done so that you don't have any homework to worry about tonight. And then tomorrow will just be more practice of 8-3. All right, thank you.